Hi, it's Kai. Number 9, Atlantis. It may seem odd that the first discovery that could change the world is that of a myth that has enveloped over the years. But don't lose the message within the myth. Atlantis is something that a lot of people really believe in, not the least of which was that it was detailed in the works of the philosopher Plato, who described an advanced civilization being wiped out by the gods, or nature, depending on your interpretation. As a result of this, the legend of the city of Atlantis has been one that has percolated throughout history as something of a lost treasure. There have been dozens, if not hundreds, of interpretations of what Atlantis could have actually been or even could be now in books, TV shows, movies, cartoons, etc. But why would this change history if it's found? Well, for several reasons. One, if, as many theories speculate, it was a piece of land or even a continent that was sunk to the bottom of the ocean. If this chunk of land was found, that would help not only confirm that Atlantis was real, but what really happened to it. It really did sink. Thus showing that Plato wasn't lying and that there was a grand civilization that was swallowed up by the ocean, something that's happened to other cities and land masses in the past. And if this ancient advanced civilization really did exist and sink, why and how? If the mythological version of Atlantis were to show up, then that would be revolutionary as well, because the proof of an underwater society living without notice for thousands of years, well, that would be pretty incredible. Theories range from a sunk mid-Atlantic continent, Atlantis was actually Antarctica, it was swallowed up by the Bermuda Triangle, Atlantis was possibly the story of the Minoan civilization which flourished in Greek islands circa 2500 to 1600 years ago BC. Either way, though, Atlantis endures in our world whether it really existed or not, and until someone can definitively prove it existed, or Plato made it all up, as some have also suggested, legends will continue. Number 8, color Xray. Heading now to the technology side of things, right now in our world, there are a whole host of technologies that are used every single day, one of which is the Xray machine. Through this device, which was actually discovered by accident, believe it or not, doctors can take an inside look at the body and help doctors and surgeons see what they're working with. The problem, though, is the black and white images don't always paint the clearest of pictures. This is why it's so impressive that scientists from Mars Bioimaging in New Zealand created the first color X-ray in history. It's done through a process called metapix, which was also used in Hadron Collider to discover the Higgs boson, and with it, we basically get a 3D color rendering of the body part in question. The reason this is game-changing is that it can more accurately give pictures and information about what is going on inside a person's body. The more information the doctor or surgeon has, the more they can better determine how to proceed. If we can really perfect this technology, it could save thousands, if not millions, of lives. Number 7, the heart attack vest. The name of this might make some people worried, but this is actually a medical device that can save lives. It's known officially as the Smart Vest, and it's a vest that you would wear on your body like a regular piece of clothing, and yet it's constantly monitoring you. Why does it do that? Because you can download a special app on your phone, and you'll be able to monitor your vitals, your heart rate, blood pressure, and more. But the best part, and the reason it could change things in medical history, is that the creators claim it's scanning your body so thoroughly that it can help predict if your body is going to have a heart attack, with claims going so far as to say that it can predict a heart attack a full 2 days before it happens. That could literally be a lifesaver. It's still in the testing phases right now, but signs are looking promising that this could be a real deal. Number 6, food replicators. In the realm of Star Trek, the world that we know is not only exploring space at a rapid rate to boldly go where no man has gone before, but the planet Earth is a unified paradise of a world in many respects. One of the biggest proofs of this is the technology they have built to virtually end all problems within the lands, not the least of which is the food replicator. With this device, you merely need to say what you want, and you'll get it. It can be tea, a meal, a snack, and sometimes even non-edible things, and the computer will synthesize it for you. Cool. The idea of this being made in the world today is not only appetizing, pun intended, but there are those who are claiming we might be closer to this than we think. We already know that 3D printers can create almost anything in terms of shape or size, so long as the right materials are provided. And this would be the next step or evolution in that. Right now, there are people legitimately trying to create a food replicator. Some are trying to do it with light, others by taking carbon dioxide and hydrogen from the area to create nutrients, and on it goes. Should one of these truly be made, it would change history, because if one can be made, more can be made. This means that things like world hunger would be a thing of the past, as they just need to get a replicator and have it make food for them. Whether this is actually possible remains to be seen, but there are those who would bet that it can happen, and that it can happen soon. Wouldn't that be amazing? What's the first thing you would replicate? Let me know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 5. Mapping out the oceans. At first, this may not seem like a discovery, but don't be fooled. The oceans are a key part of the world, as you know, and as such, it's our best interest to find out as much as we can about them and how they can help expand our knowledge of the world itself. But therein lies the problem, because as much as we want to expand our mapping of the oceans, it's a really slow process. Based on certain government surveys, only about 20% of the ocean's depths have been mapped out in a meaningful way, and some would argue that it's even less than that. That means there's more or less 80% of the world's oceans that haven't been discovered or mapped out. That's a lot of real estate that could provide a wealth of discoveries. After all, the oceans are a bastion of life in the best way possible. So much so that new species of life are constantly being discovered in the watery depths, including beings like the coelacanth that have been around for millions and millions of years. So if in the future, we're able to say that we've mapped out the entirety of the oceans, that would be a discovery in and of itself, because that would mean we know virtually every inch of our world. Not to mention, by that point, we'll have discovered even more about the world than ever before. When that will happen is hard to say, but it's possible, and if it's possible, it's doable. Number 4. Fully integrated prosthetics. Right now, there are serious medical problems that haven't fully been solved yet. One of the biggest ones that affect a wide variety of people is that of lost limbs. You can get a replacement prosthetic arm, leg, hand, etc., but to have a prosthetic be something that functions as well as the body part you lost is something medical personnel have been working on for decades, but there's hope that it might be on the horizon soon. A report from the New England Journal of Medicine noted that 3 patients were given an advanced prosthetic that could not only work with connections with the brain, but allow the user to feel with that prosthetic as well. Our study shows that a prosthetic hand attached to the bone and controlled by electrodes implanted in nerves and muscles can operate much more precisely than conventional prosthetic hands. We further improved the use of the prosthetics by integrating tactile sensory feedback that the patients use to mediate how hard to grab or squeeze an object. Over time, the ability of the patients to discern smaller changes in the intensity of sensations has improved, says Max Ortiz-Catalan. Obviously, we're still a ways away from the sci-fi version of prosthetics entities, but this is promising, and if expansions and refinements of this technology can be made, it would change the many histories of people who want to feel whole again. Number 3. Gene editing. The health of humanity and even fauna is one of the utmost importance to scientists. But much of the medicine and devices that are made to help people in various medical situations is reactive. Mainly, there's an issue, and something is done or made to combat it. Vaccines are a great example of this. But what if you don't just make something to combat something else? You just take what's hurting you right out of your system. That's referred to as gene editing, and is yet another classic sci-fi trope. But its applications are very real world, and in fact, they're happening right now. There have been tests both on humans and on animals to try and do great things with gene editing, and some of those attempts have been successful. To be clear, many of these editing, while done at the genetic level, are still very basic. But there's hope that if it's allowed to grow and expand, it could literally edit diseases and disabilities out of your very DNA and help you live a better life. If this can be done with a baby upon the earliest days of its life, it could be a game changer in terms of maintaining its health and livelihood. Number 2, lost civilizations. Anyone who says that the world has been fully discovered is lying, because between oceans, rainforests, tundra, and deserts of our world, there is plenty left to be discovered. Plus, even recent history can tell you that all it takes is one discovery to rewrite history or expand upon it in many ways not thought possible. So in terms of future discoveries, one of the biggest ones that can change history is that of certain lost civilizations being found or rediscovered. I'm not even talking about the mythical ones like Atlantis. We're talking about real ones that have been lost to history despite being heavily talked about in lore and legends. Any lost place that is found can bring new mysteries by what it has within it, or by the history it divulges as it's deciphered. How many lost cities or civilizations are out there waiting to be found? That's unclear, but many make it their mission to find out. Number 1, true AI. Anyone who has watched a science fiction movie knows that one of the biggest fears that humanity can have is that of artificial intelligence, aka AI. The reason for this is that many sci-fi movies, TV shows, comics, and books have predicted that should an AI go rogue or grow beyond its programming, that it will turn on humanity and wipe us all out, usually with nuclear destruction or an army of robots. So it might come as a surprise to some of you that one of the biggest discoveries that could change history is the discovery of true AI, and that people are working to try and make that happen right now. In fact, it would be a fair assumption to suggest that some of you, right now, have AI of a sort within your reach, whether it be Alexa, Siri, or other programs you have in your home or on your devices. Now, to be clear, those aren't full-on artificial intelligence entities, but they are a form of AI as they interact with you and even talk with you. Alexa, for example, can learn your schedule, help you be ready for your day, and even whisper when you want it to based on your voice. True AI, as some have been known to call it, is a fully independent entity that can go and do things like reasoning, knowledge representation, planning, learning, natural language processing, perception, and more. The benefits of having such a thing are numerous, not the least of which is that it would be another set of ears, eyes, and thoughts for the person using it. Plus, as a computer entity, it would be smarter than the user, which is usually the problem in those sci-fi stories. And it can think of things that the user can't. Having AI running things in business practices would erase processing times as well as keeping things incredibly organized. It could also help with teaching, as each student could have their own AI companion to help them work through problems. Or it could be used to prototype, build, plan out scenarios, and so on. If true AI is built, it would explode technology in ways that we likely can't even fathom right now. This is why it would be a game changer, or at least for a time, until the robots rise up against us. But until then, history would be changed in a positive way. Thanks for watching. What do you think of these discoveries that could change the world? Which one would be the most exciting to you? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye.